Alright, so today we're working on the mouth, and honestly the nose and the mouth are connected. So the curve of the bottom of the nose is going to influence how we make the rest of this. I'm going to show you two methods today on how to draw a mouth, and we're going to keep it simple today. We're not adding teeth, we're not adding a big expression on the face, just the basics of the mouth. Obviously, if you were drawing someone with a smile or a frown or with their mouth open or smiling with full teeth, it's going to look a little bit different. But today we're just practicing the shape of the lips, and all you're going to need is your pencil, your paper, a blending stump or paper towel, and an eraser. Okay? All right. Move this one out of the way, and we're going to look at the nose that we drew last time, and that will help us be ready to do this. If you don't have that, it's okay. You can just kind of follow along and you'll understand what I'm talking about anyway. So the curve of this part of your nose here comes down and it is echoed in the curve of the top of my lip here. So I've got this curve right here and it's an echo. And it's actually echoed again here. So this is the curve of the top of the lip, and this is the bottom of the top of the lip. I'm going to use this to help me, okay? So I want you to follow along. So you've got the curve of the top of the lip. If you don't have a nose to follow, just make a curve, and then a curve here. We're going to use that to come up and just make a little heart. A heart shape that uses those curves. And that's going to be the center part of the top of my upper lip. Then on either side of that, I'm going to make two like longer triangle shapes. Okay, we don't want them super pointy, but we're just going to make something that looks kind of like this. Okay, it almost looks like a heart with two triangles on the side of it. Okay, all right. That's going to end up being the form of the top lip. Then here, we're going to make two kind of teardroppy shapes on their side. And this is going to end up being the bottom lip, the bottom part of your lips. Okay? I'm going to move the nose out of the way, but the nose echoes these curves. And sometimes it's like this curve, and this curve. Obviously, you'll need to look at whoever you're drawing for the details of the way that person's mouth looks. This is a basic shape. Okay? So you should have something that looks kind of like this. And actually, what we're doing here is kind of echoing the fat pads that are in the lips. Okay? Now, obviously, we don't want it to look like these multiple shapes. So what I want you to do now is just using that to go around and define. There's my top lip shape and my bottom lip shape. So it looks something like this. Okay? All right, once you've got that, you've got the basic form of the mouth. We're going to start doing the shading now. So you need your drawing pencil and your blending stump and your eraser. I'm just going to give you some basics, and obviously if you're drawing a real person, it'll be a little bit different. My light is on this side. I'm going to make a highlight shape right here, but the bottom lip actually gets a lot more highlight. And so I'm putting two different bits of highlight there. That just kind of marks areas that I know I want to be lighter. I might also have a little highlight here. But the bottom lip always kind of sticks out a little bit more, so it actually gets more highlight than the top lip. I'm going to start by darkening the space between the lips. Okay, so go ahead and use your shading pencil, and we're going to darken in between the lips. Okay, I'm also going to kind of make little points right here on the top of the lip to kind of make it look like there's a little like pouty part in the center for most people. And then if you think about like the way our lips kind of like wrap around, I'm going to make some little lines along the bottom that kind of wrap around. They're not straight up and down. They curve to give dimension to the shape of my lip. And if you were looking in the mirror or at a real person's lips, you would notice that there's lots of little lines that curve like this. The bottom lip, we're going to curve the opposite way. And again, you can kind of curve from one side and around, but where those highlights are, I'm not going to curve as much. I'm going to leave that part because we want that to be highlighted. So I'm not adding lines over that part. And I'm going to do this on this side. Now we don't want to leave our lips looking like this, but it gives us a good basis for shading the lips, okay? So after I've gotten this far, I'm going to use my blending stump or a paper towel, and I'm still following that idea of the curve, okay? So notice how I'm like going in a like arch to kind of wrap my shadow, and it flips and goes the opposite way on this side. So we're curving one way on one side, it kind of thins out to be kind of flat in the center, and then curves on the other side. And I'm getting should get a little bit of a range of values in here, and I should still be able to see the lines a little bit because they are a defining feature of lips, okay? Obviously these, like where we've got the highlights, and we're going to use an eraser at the end, but you don't want those lines to like super stand out, so you can kind of blend the edges of that line a bit too. And then we're going to do the same thing on the bottom lip, kind of going the opposite way, making sure we leave plenty of highlight here. And again, we can always come back in and use our eraser there. Alright, so now I've got a basic value, basic grayscale here on my lips, but I'm going to use my eraser and pull out that highlight part and kind of dull the edges of that where I drew it in before. I'm going to do the same thing on this side, and any place I feel like I need to do it on the bottom one. It just helped to have like a guide there for a moment. Now, I think I need some darker values because this is basic gray. I would go back in and I would make it a lot darker in that crease and on the edges, the corners of my mouth, kind of wrapping around the bottom a little bit. You might pull some of that, kind of wrap around that curve. Now when you're looking at a real person, you're going to have to like notice the shape of their lips. Some people might have thinner lips, some people might have fuller lips, some people might have the top lip really thin and the bottom lip full. Usually the top lip is thinner than the bottom lip. The bottom lip tends to be a little fuller. Now, after you feel like you've gotten a good range of values that blends easily from the dark part in the center here and wraps around to give dimension, then you're kind of done with a basic shape of a lip. I suggest that you really, really do want to go look at a real person's lips though, to see like how that highlight actually shows up and to see how the values show up. And if a person has on lipstick, that changes things. So this is one way to do it, and I just want to point this out. So it would kind of like come together something like this. You would begin to notice the smile lines and what we call the like little Cupid's bow arrow area here. And there'd also usually be a shadow under this bottom lip. Now, when you're beginning to like work on the whole face, all these things will come together to make a full face, and we have to think about cheeks and all those things. That is a basic way to start thinking about the mouth and the lips. Okay. Just real quick, I'm going to show you one other method that you could try off to the side. One of the things you can do is just make an oval, and I'm not going to do the full thing here, and then put a little dimple here, and do this and this, and you get a basic lip shape too. And then you can kind of do the same shading things using that shape. So you just start with an oval and build from the oval, making that instead of the 3 little parts that we did there. I find that the 3 parts are really useful when it helps to start making expressions, because then I could be like, okay, here's my little heart part, that was the center, and then this part begins to curve up for a smile, and these could curve down for a mouth that's kind of opening. And I'm just using this to show you something. So I think that this method helps you think about expressive shapes a little bit more. And then, you know, you could end up having some teeth. And something like this begins to take the shape. So, you know, obviously this method looks simpler and looks easier, but as far as being able to actually help you when you start thinking about the expressive aspects of a mouth, the little heart part and the little pillows around that kind of help make it more useful when it comes to building from that to understand expressions. So your goal now is to take a photo of your lips, and I'm going to suggest just a basic one first, and try to draw and shade your lips and your mouth area. Okay? And at the end of class, you are going to submit both the guided practice that we did together and the image of the one that you do of your own face.